This is the 5th video in my Attack on Titan arc analysis series, and in this video I'll be covering the Clash of the Titans arc. After the capture of Annie Leonhardt, the Survey Corps recruits from the 104th Training Corps were kept in holding in a location south of Wall Rose. This was because the senior Survey Corps members were under suspicion that another spy was amongst them. However, when a group of Titans suddenly appears within Wall Rose, it leads everybody to fear for the worst, that Wall Rose has been breached. The 104th Training Corps now find themselves in a battle against these Titans who have appeared out of nowhere. However, unknown to them, traitors lie within their group, and it is up to Eren and the others to call them out and to face off against them. So let's now get into my breakdown, review and analysis of the 5th arc of Attack on Titan. The Clash of the Titans arc, which takes place between chapters 34 and 50 of the manga, is adapted into Attack on Titan Season 2, which runs from episodes 26 to 37. This arc follows up immediately after the conclusion of the first season. With the identity of the female Titan being revealed, we have yet to learn about the true identities of the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan. This season focuses upon the Titan invasion, which unfolds within Wall Rose. This Titan invasion is all thanks to the introduction of a new enemy, who appears in the form of the Beast Titan. After the battle in the Stoest district, Hanji is told by Pastor Nick from the Order of the Walls to cover the Titan that was found within Wall Sina. He says this in order to prevent sunlight from hitting the Titan. This hints to us that Pastor Nick knows some truth about the origin of the walls. After covering up the crack in the wall, Hanji presses him to reveal what he knows, asking him about the Wall Titan. Why is it inside the wall? And what exactly is it? Why have the figureheads behind the Order of the Walls kept quiet about what they know? He refuses to answer her until Hanji threatens his life. It is then that we learn the truth behind the walls. This truth was a heavily guarded secret that several people within the monarchy and government had only known, aiming to actively try to conceal this truth from humanity. The members of the Survey Corps have put their lives on the line time and time again in order to learn the truth about the Titans, the walls and humanity's dire situation. They have put in all of this effort just so that they can learn now that something that will help humanity move one step forward has been kept a secret from them. These individuals who are keeping secrets desire to maintain the current status quo, which is to ensure that humanity remains trapped within the walls. Pastor Nick refuses to speak despite his life being threatened. It is a strange prospect to consider. This entire time, humanity was being protected from Titans by a wall made up of Titans. Elsewhere, there are suspicions that other members of the 104th Training Corps may have been conspiring alongside Annie, and they have been placed under surveillance in a location at the southern part of Wall Rose. They were ordered to dress as civilians and not to wear their combat uniforms, so if another member is revealed to be a traitor, they will at least be unarmed. Plans to keep the 104th Training Corps under watch are cut short after Titans are spotted within Wall Rose, indicating that it has been breached. The 104th scouts are then ordered to get on horseback and to evacuate the nearby villages. We are introduced to this unexpected threat immediately after the dust settles from the battle against the female Titan. With Titans appearing within the walls, we and the characters are left to make the logical assumption that Wall Rose has been breached. Prior to this, we had just witnessed the Survey Corps attempt to identify who the Colossal and Armored Titans could be. We assumed that they were Annie's accomplices, so investigating the people who were nearest to her was a priority. However, now that the 104th Training Corps have been cleared of suspicion, the Survey Corps are now focused on several tasks: to identify the breach within Wall Rose, to save the villagers, eliminate the Titans, and possibly begin evacuating Wall Rose. This is a dire situation. The prospects of two walls being breached leaves Wall Sina as the fragile final barrier to extinction. The situation is hopeless. Frankly, humanity has lost at this point. Now that they have been cornered into the small interior, what chance do they have if Wall Sina is also breached? What the Survey Corps embodies is this desire to not give up even when they are up against overwhelming adversity. As long as they keep fighting, humanity has not lost. The Survey Corps members feel regret for doubting the 104th Corps. They are now relying on their help while they are unequipped and totally defenseless against the Titans, and this is all thanks to the Survey Corps suspicions. The tension is high as it is difficult for us to predict what will happen outside of the logical assumptions that we are making. When the 104th Corps is split up to spread the news of the breach, Connie and Sasha have a higher degree of personal investment in the safety of the civilians due to their homes being located nearby. Connie's character is focused upon during this moment as he realizes that the Titans are coming from the direction of his home village. Through him and the other scouts, we once again are made to endure what possibly could be the second worst day humanity has ever encountered. that, Connie heads to his village and is accompanied by Bertolt and Reiner, who kindly volunteer to assist him. Now, I love season 2 of Attack on Titan for the way that it throws you into the action without any forewarning. So much is going on and you cannot help but to feel invested into the story from the get-go. This certainly feels like a satisfactory payoff after waiting 4 long years for the return of the Attack on Titan anime. The aim of the 104th Corps is to mitigate the damage, prevent the loss of life, and above all else not to stop fighting. These titans that are roaming around within Walrose are behaving very strangely. For example, they are able to run at incredible speeds. Mike, who is the second strongest soldier under Levi, acts as a decoy and is able to divert the 9 titans away from the other scouts. He slowly reduces the number of the nearby titans down to 4 after methodically taking each one of them out. This is when the story pulls us from one twist to the next, as we are introduced to an abnormal titan who is covered in hair. This is the first titan of its kind that Mike has ever seen. There appears to be an ominous feeling about this one, who initially appears to be ignoring Mike, but it exhibits intelligence after it picks up its horse and throws it towards the lone soldier. Now, this moment really made me feel uncomfortable when I had first seen it, as the second best scout is slowly picked apart and devoured by titans. His composure is left in ruins as we see Mike yelling out in pain. When will humanity catch a break is what I was thinking. This new enemy reveals that it has the ability to speak, as it asks Mike about his maneuvering gear, but he is too paralyzed in fear to respond. His gear is taken by the beast titan while he cowers defenselessly. Attack on Titan subverts tropes found in typical shonen stories and outright calls them out at times. This moment is an example of such an occasion, as Mike has a sudden burst of motivation as he remembers encouraging his comrades in the face of despair only moments ago. He had told them that we are only defeated once we stop fighting. He briefly embodies these words of advice that he had given to the other scouts and draws his blade, but his bravery turns to helpless fear as he is eaten alive. There are many impactful moments within this story, and this display of brutality is one of them. Mike drops the bravado and immediately begs for his life. Moments like this laugh in the face of stories that rely upon convenient power-ups or miraculous perfect timing, which all too often saves the lives of side characters. However, in this moment there was no hope for Mike, as he was made to feel absolute fear and pain in his final moments. Isayama as a writer is able to draft out these hopeless scenarios and then bring them to life through his illustrations. He masterfully depicts the sinister expressions of the titans and the despair-filled emotions of their prey. Feeling afraid is a raw emotion we can all relate to, but succumbing to fear after attempting to puff out your chest and face adversity, now this is another level of despair. Isayama is someone who knows how to play with or ridicule common heroic tropes, subverting them much to our dismay. News of the titans spreads quickly thanks to the Survey Corps' quick thinking. During this, we get a brief flashback relating to Sasha's character, learning that she comes from a family of hunters as we see her with her father. Season 2 of Attack on Titan rightfully pays more attention to the other members of the 104th Corps, which is a welcomed breath of fresh air, despite how much I do enjoy following Eren, Armin, and Mikasa. During this flashback, her father tries to talk her out of sticking to tradition and the ways of their ancestors. The times are changing, so he suggests that she too adapts to these changes. There is a constant discussion of life and the value of it during this series. Sasha's father relays to her that in this world it is a privilege to be alive. Through this recollection that she has while she is returning to her home, we understand why Sasha speaks the way that she does. It is to cover up her accent and the fact that she was raised in a village. She tries to be brave in order to prove her father wrong, who had described her as cowardly and stuck in her comfort zone. He indeed had challenged her to prove him wrong. We can assume that this is the reason why Sasha had left her village and enlisted into the military, leaving her old life behind. Now that she is returning to her home, she can see the horrors which would have awaited her if she had decided to stay and ignore the fears and problems of the people outside her village. The Titans have arrived at her village and it sinks in that she has now become one of the people without a home to return to. She had previously been seen to criticize the homeless for taking up land and resources within Walrose when they were forced to flee from Wall Maria because of the Titans. Sasha ends up saving a girl from a Titan by using a bow and arrow, not being ashamed of her roots and who she really is, which is a girl who was raised in a village as a hunter. She reunites with her father, who learns of her heroic act and finally recognizes her. This acknowledgement is significant and impactful to her character, proving that she is no longer that cowardly version of herself who was too afraid to leave her home or accept that the world is changing. Moving on from this, the hardening ability that was used by Annie had appeared to generate a material which is of the same composition as the walls. This revelation is identified by Hanji. This means that if Eren is able to control his abilities and activate this same hardening ability, then he may be able to seal the breach within Wall Maria. If he is able to accomplish this task, then it will give humanity a major victory over the Titans. It will shine a light of hope over an otherwise hopeless situation. What is to be noted is that Eren mentions the key to the basement that he is still wearing around his neck. His desire to go to the basement, he states here, is so that he knows who exactly he can point his anger towards. Like us, he wonders who was the cause for the existence of the Titans, humanity being caged behind walls, and most importantly to Eren, the cause of his mother's death. We now have a goal to seal Wall Maria, while at the same time fulfilling the need to discover what secrets lie within the basement. We have a clear direction of where the story of Attack on Titan is now headed. After this glimmer of hope, we have Pastor Nick reveal that he may not be given permission to speak about the truth of the walls, but there is someone who has permission. Pastor Nick says that this person entered the survey court along with Eren and the others, and she knows everything that they want to know about the secrets of the walls. This individual comes from royal blood, and her name is Historia Reyes, and currently she is going by the alias Krista. With this knowledge, Eren, Mikasa and Armin head out to the battlefield and face off against the Titans in order to ensure that Krista is not harmed. Now we cut back to the 104th core as we follow Connie, who returns to his home while being accompanied by Reiner and Bertolt. He discovers that his village has been destroyed along with all of the homes. But what is strange is that it appears that something has broken out of each of the homes from the inside. When he goes to his own home expecting to find his family, he finds a deformed Titan laying on the remains of his home. This frightening Titan appears to share the same eyes as Connie, as he looks at it in complete shock until Reiner pulls him away. The Titan laying on Connie's home virtually has no limbs. It would be impossible for it to be mobile, so how on earth has it found itself on top of a home? As Connie is leaving his village, we hear a voice telling him welcome home, almost as if the Titan had spoken to him. Through this moment, Isayama hints at a major revelation, and this is certainly not the last time that we will refer back to this scene. Connie is a character who in all honesty you don't really care about or see much of. However, he is given a spotlight here for him to share his emotions and his feelings about losing his home and possibly his family. With this strange Titan laying over his home, another frightening possibility is planted into our minds. Did somebody or something turn Connie's mother into a Titan? Through his emotions, you are heavily invested into the truth behind what had happened to his family, and how Connie is going to process everything he has seen up until now. Reiner forces Connie to focus on the mission, advising him not to lose sight of saving more lives, as he reassures him that his family must have escaped and are at a shelter. Reiner manages to stop Connie from thinking that his mother was turned into a Titan, as we see Connie focus his gaze on moving forward, while Reiner and Bertolt watch Connie nervously. This picture paints 1,000 words, as we will see why Reiner and Bertolt were so invested in making sure Connie doesn't connect too many dots here. After the discovery that there is no breach within Wall Rose, the Survey Corps members along with the 104th Scouts find themselves at Utgard Castle, where they decide to rest and recuperate while the Titans are inactive during the night. Isayama groups together 5 members from the 104th Corps: Krista, Ymir, Reiner, Bertolt and Connie as they seek refuge within Utgard Castle. Here, secrets begin to be hinted at and revealed. Looking back at this segment of the story in hindsight, I appreciate the nuance behind some of the exchanges that occur here. There are some subtle events like the scouts discovering food with labels within Utgard Castle that none of them can read, but Ymir is able to read the labeled food, which is written in another language. Another such moment is the scouts discussing with Connie about his village and how no victims were discovered. They are puzzled as to how the Titans appeared within Wall Rose without the wall being breached. Connie tries to speculate that the Titan laying upon his home resembled his mother, but he is silenced by Reiner. Why is it that Reiner pulled Connie away from his home when he had seen the Titan laying on it? And why is he berating him now for mere conjecture? Ymir in a similar way ridicules Connie, as it makes you question her intentions for trying to silence him. At this point in the story, we are aware that after sunset, Titans are typically dormant. However, while resting, they are attacked by Titans who are able to move during the night. During this portion of the story, everything they thought that they had known about the Titans is being called into question, as we logically try to piece together the missing pieces of information. Firstly, Titans appear without a breach, and secondly, Titans are moving after sunset. It all appears to be correlated to this strange Titan which is covered in hair, who had demonstrated the ability to speak and control the Titans. The senior scouts who are also present in Utgard Castle have vertical maneuvering gear, so they attack the Titans and defend the new recruits who don't have any vertical maneuvering gear, while the Beast Titan scales Wall Rose. During the Titans' attack on Utgard Castle, we learn that Hanji along with the scouts from the Stowest district, including Eren, Mikasa and Armin, are making their way over to Utgard Castle in order to get a better view of Wall Wall Rose, but they are unaware that the castle is being attacked by titans. Smaller titans were able to break into the castle, making their way towards the defenseless scouts. Reiner volunteers to see how far the titans have infiltrated the castle, but he is almost eaten by a titan. That is until he is saved by Bertolt. Here, a brief but very significant flashbulb memory occurs for Reiner, where he remembers a similar situation from his past, where he was about to be attacked and he seized up as a child. If it wasn't for Bertolt's quick thinking, then Reiner would have definitely been eaten by this titan here. The memory that was evoked within Reiner was about him being saved by his friend, who had sacrificed himself in order to save his life when they were attacked by a titan as children. The thought of losing his friend reminds him of his desire to return home. He affirms this desire with Bertolt as they are both determined to survive and return back to their home. With this newfound resolve, Reiner ends up saving Connie's life, but he is bitten by a titan while trying to protect his friend. Understandably, Reiner seems to have been affected by the death of his friend, who had sprang into action and saved his life when they were children. It is like he is emulating his fallen friend's heroic behavior here, trying to fulfill his duty as a soldier. Bertolt tells Connie that Reiner wasn't always like this. He states that Reiner used to be a warrior before. This proves that a change had occurred within his character after this traumatic event from his past. Now, with more and more titans approaching their location, and the beast titan who is now hurtling projectiles towards the castle, their situation is looking very bleak. The last two scouts, Nanaba and Gelga, who were defending the unarmed recruits, eventually end up running out of gas, and they sacrifice themselves while trying to protect the others in the castle. Now that we are just left with the familiar cast members of the 104th Corps, we begin to learn more about the bond that is formed between Ymir and Krista. We learn that Krista is frustrated and wishes that she could die fighting alongside her comrades, but Ymir reprimands her because apparently Krista is not like the other scouts. Ymir knows something about her, and this is once again adding to the revelation that Pastor Nick had told Hanji earlier on. This fact that Krista knows the truth about the walls. Ymir and Krista had made a promise to each other during their 3 years of training. Krista is identified by Ymir as being the exiled member of the royal family. She was born as the illegitimate child of the king, who had an affair with a mistress. Instead of being killed, Krista was sent away and given a fake name. Ymir had learnt all about this through eavesdropping on a conversation between two members of the Order of the Walls. Ymir found out that Krista had joined the training corps, so she too had decided to join in order to find her. Through this description of Krista, Ymir had found some common ground with her, as they had shared a similar background. The two of them had made an agreement with each other that when Ymir reveals the secret that she is keeping, then Krista will go back to living by her real name that was given to her at birth. As a last resort, in order to protect the others from the titans, Ymir transforms into a titan herself, shockingly revealing her identity as the third human who can transform into a titan. In another strange turn of events, Reiner and Bertolt recognize Ymir's titan form as the same one that had eaten their friend from 5 years ago during the fall of Wall Maria. It is apparent that Ymir had known about her ability to transform long before Eren did, and she had kept this a secret from the others. Krista is even taken aback by this revelation, even stating that she doesn't want it to be true. Ymir's intentions are called into question, as Krista and the others question her intentions and her desires. At least with her transformation, Ymir is actually helping them, unlike when Annie had transformed, as she had chosen to kill and target her comrades. The fact that Ymir is not choosing to escape the castle in her titan form and is actually protecting the others reassures Krista at least that she is trying to defend them. Ymir is able to speak in her titan form, as she tells the 4 recruits to grab onto her while they escape the collapsing tower. The scouts from the East to West district eventually do arrive to save Krista and the others, who are cornered and totally exhausted after enduring hours of attacks from the titans. After Eren and the others wipe out the titans, they are able to rescue Ymir. Krista keeps her promise and reveals her name that was given to her at birth to be Historia, and she also reveals to everybody that she belongs to the noble Reis family. The garrison's advance unit, led by Hannes, inform Hanji and the others that there is indeed no hole within Wall Rose, so their plan to use Eren's powers to plug the hole is no longer necessary. This once again raises this question as to how the titans had found themselves roaming within Wall Rose. We can only assume from the information we learn within Connie's village that the humans were somehow transformed into titans. While Hanji and the other scouts discuss returning to the Trost district and waiting on standby, Reiner calls over Eren to speak to him. In a very nonchalant nonchalant manner, Reiner tells Eren that 5 years ago, he and Bertolt were responsible for the attack on humanity. He admits that he is the armored titan and Bertolt is the colossal titan. The blunt nature of this reveal leaves you utterly jaw-dropped and confused. I remembered wondering if this was a joke. Even Eren feels the same way, and it is a great way for Isayama to make us feel exactly like how Eren must be feeling at this very moment. This revelation happens off-screen while Hanji is speaking to the other scouts. You would expect this to be happening front and center. After all, this is a critical revelation that we have all been speculating for several years, and it happens so abruptly. Reiner continues to tell the shocked and very confused Eren that their initial goal was to eliminate humanity, but they don't need to do that now as long as Eren cooperates and leaves with them to their hometown. Eren plays dumb and states that he doesn't know if he should listen to them, but a furious Mikasa can be seen overhearing the conversation as she is utterly speechless at this revelation. We learn that Eren, Mikasa and Armin were already anticipating this information prior to arriving at Utgard Castle. Sometime in the past, Armin discusses the details of Annie's background check, and it reveals that she was born in the same region as Reiner and Bertolt, making it very likely that they are her accomplices. Their suspicions are further confirmed when the female titan had captured Reiner and had ran towards Eren's direction after Reiner had broken free of her grasp. Armin deduces that Reiner had most likely shared Eren's location with her. Of course, Eren and the others were debriefed to not appear to suspect them at all. Once again, the plan was to try to lure them underground in order to capture and prevent them from transforming, but it appears that Reiner had beaten them to it before they could execute their plan. Now we need to discuss some details about Reiner's character, as it seems that he is having a mental breakdown here, after Eren suggests that he may be tired. Bertolt appears to be maintaining the facade and agreeing that they are tired, but Reiner looks and acts very distraught. Earlier, Bertolt had said that Reiner used to be a warrior in the past. We learn here what he had meant by this, as Reiner's psyche shifts from his identity as a soldier of the 104th Corps into his original psyche as a warrior. He had adopted this warrior psyche long before joining the training corps. Apparently, he had become conflicted and even forgotten aspects of his mission against humanity after training with Eren and the others for 3 years. Apparently, Reiner, Bertolt and Annie were only children back then, and after joining the military they had become half-hearted towards their true mission to eliminate humanity. Reiner, having totally succumbed to his frustration and anger with himself, decides to challenge Eren to fight immediately. His identity as a titan is confirmed when we see steam emanating from the wound on his forearm. This is enough confirmation for Mikasa to no longer stand by and to strike the traitors who desire to take Eren with them to fulfill their mission. Reiner and Bertolt transform as we see the return of the colossal and armored titans, confirming that indeed they were responsible for the breach of Wall Maria and the attack on humanity 5 years ago. The very people who caused the deaths of countless innocent people, including Eren's mother, were hiding under their noses this entire time, pretending to be their comrades and admittedly even growing fond of the relationships they had formed with the others. These attachments had made them waver with their resolve and lose sight of their true purpose. This is ultimately what frustrates Reiner and causes his psyche to snap. After almost having lost his life and remembering how his former comrade had died trying to protect him, he had remembered his goal that he had been half-heartedly pursuing. After transforming, he grabs Ymir and Eren and plans an escape along with Bertolt. Eren understandably feels pain after realizing once again that people who he had considered to be his comrades are in fact traitors and enemies of humanity. He remembers the time that he had spent training with them and hearing about their past. During their training, if you recall, they had helped each other and even spoke about their experiences of first seeing the titans together. Reiner had even encouraged Eren and told him that he had faith in him. Eren realizes that he had shared his sorrowful experiences and his desires with the very people who were responsible for the pain and anger that he was feeling. With little time to feel apprehension, Eren transforms into his titan form and fights back against the armor titan. This is an excellent contrast with his battle against the female titan, where he had hesitated to transform and battle his former comrade. With each shocking revelation, it is like a piece of Eren's humanity is gradually being discarded. It's that aspect of his character that makes him hold back and feel remorse, sympathy and empathy. Now we can only wonder what effect being betrayed to this extent will have upon Eren's psyche. Understandably, it will affect the trust that he has in others, and it may even lead to him losing his humanity and becoming a monster himself. We assume that Mikasa was unnerved because of her immediate response to attack Reiner and Bertolt, but we see that she hesitated slightly. She could have killed them before they were able to transform by decapitating them, but she had seen the fear on their faces. Mikasa can be very impulsive, but even she must have felt reluctant to kill people that she had considered to be her comrades over the last few years. Reiner, more so than Bertolt, Bertolt exhibits the weaknesses that are associated with naivety and immaturity. His goal to destroy humanity had been clouded by the new bonds that he had formed, almost forgetting his real purpose. He had risked his life in order to save Connie earlier, someone who he should have felt indifferent towards, but his duty as a soldier conflicted with his warrior self, who had set out to destroy the walls with his accomplices Annie and Bertolt. While Eren is battling Reiner, he has an internal monologue that helps to explain how he is feeling after having confirmed he was betrayed. He remembers how Reiner had always spoken about the responsibility of being a soldier, and how during their hand-to-hand combat, Eren realizes that Reiner was going easy on him. This is proven by his display of strength while he is in his armored titan form. Eren had admired Reiner because to him he was talented, calm, and he was always able to see the bigger picture, and had been able to put the safety of his comrades before his own. Ultimately, this is what led Eren to desire to one day be as strong as Reiner. This insight really emphasizes the bond that was formed between the two of them, and the impact of learning that a close friend you had admired and even looked up to was lying to you about who they were. In this moment, Eren realizes what Reiner had really thought about him. Eren had shared his past and the trauma of losing his mother with the people who caused this trauma to happen. I always recall the conversation that Eren had with Reiner and Bertolt during his training, back when he was struggling to maintain balance on his vertical maneuvering gear. Their conversation had made me appreciate the pasts of Reiner and Bertolt, learning about their own fear of first discovering the Titans and having to escape their respective villages. Their betrayal is impactful because not only did they lie to Eren, they had also lied to us. Up until this moment, there may have been subtle hints, but there was nothing overtly revealing them to be the enemies of humanity. And it is for that reason that Eren is determined to wipe that righteous expression off of Reiner's face. Both he and Bertolt have committed the most despicable crimes against humanity. Then after doing so, they had masqueraded as allies of humanity. It is sickening and enough to make you feel very emotionally invested in seeing their defeat. Eren recalls his hand-to-hand training with Annie, and utilizes a grapple and takedown that he had learnt from her in order to overwhelm an opponent that has more strength than you. He is able to topple the armored titan and get into a position of control on top of him. There is a lot of reference to Brazilian jiu-jitsu whenever hand-to-hand combat and grappling is shown within Attack on Titan. We can see them demonstrating takedowns, grapples, and submission holds. Eren traps Reiner in a armbar, forcing him into submission. He finally has the advantage and appears to be defeating the armored titan, immobilizing him. Eren then continues to trap him into another submission hold and feels his resistance weakening. But just as victory appears to be secured, the colossal titan interferes, allowing Reiner to defeat Eren. They remove Eren from his titan form, and both Bertolt and Reiner escape after having kidnapped Ymir and Eren. They remove Eren's body from his titan form and take Ymir with them. After having kidnapped both of them, they have successfully accomplished their goal. Immediately after this, reinforcements arrive, and the scouts assemble on top of Walrose and plan a rescue mission. They aim to take advantage of the fact that Reiner and Bertolt will be exhausted after their battle with Eren. They assume that Reiner and Bertolt's goal is to leave with Eren and Ymir over Wall Maria, but before they can do this, they need to rest somewhere where Titans cannot get to them before they continue on their escape. They logically deduce that they have entered the forest of the giant trees to rest and recuperate. Erwin commands the scouts to capture them before nightfall, as he assumes that they will continue on their escape over Wall Maria during the nighttime when Titans are inactive. Eren and Ymir have been taken into densely populated Titan territory within Wall Maria. Escaping even by using their Titan powers seems very unlikely. They have no choice but to wait with Reiner and Bertolt until nightfall when the Titans are unable to move. While they rest, Reiner once again begins to speak about things that are contradictory to his actions and his true motives. It appears that he isn't even aware of himself doing this. Ymir helps us to understand this more by describing Reiner to have originally been a warrior, desiring to destroy the walls. But while he was pretending to be a soldier for a prolonged period of time, his goals and desires had become confused. He could no longer distinguish between the two personas he had been switching between all these years. After getting to know the people that he had made to suffer and bear arms, he could no longer handle the weight of the sins that he had committed. So to cope with his sins, he had escaped into a new persona as a soldier who desired to protect the walls along with his new comrades. From Bertolt's conflicted expression, it is evident that Reiner has been struggling with coming to terms with this split in his personality for a while. He adopted these altered memories in order to deal with his feelings of guilt and his past trauma. I love how Eren during this downtime confronts Reiner and Bertolt about what they must have felt while he had told them about how his mother was killed before his eyes. Bertolt admits that he had felt sorry for Eren. For whatever reason, they had thought that destroying the walls was the right thing to do. Eren takes away any recognition and honor they may be feeling for their actions by saying that they are not warriors or even soldiers. The two of them are in fact mass murderers who killed countless people who did nothing wrong to either of them. They feel guilt for this fact because after inflicting those atrocities onto mankind, they were made to face the consequences of their actions. Of course, they believed for whatever reason that what they were doing was the right thing to do, but it is hard to convince yourself of this when you see decent and honest people being made to suffer because of your actions. Bertolt, Reiner, and Annie for some reason had a hatred for the people who resided within the walls, and at a very young age were ordered to use their Titan powers against humanity. Coming to the realization of the consequences of their actions, Reiner admits he knows that they had committed mass murder, but it does not change the fact that the Reiner and Bertolt that Eren had known are no more. There is no use in Eren feeling upset about the false personas that they had adopted in order to fool him and the others. Eren realizes that he was naive to expect an admission of guilt or even an apology. He affirms that he will do everything in his power to make sure that the two of them die in the most painful way possible. The monster within Eren is being gradually awoken, as we see him lose more of his sense of humanity after speaking to them. Ymir tells him that he will not be able to settle all of this just by killing Reiner and Bertolt alone. She mentions the existence of the Beast Titan, and we are made aware that this attack upon humanity has been organized by some outside force originating from the hometown of Reiner and Bertolt. Ymir seems to know who the real enemy behind all of this is. However, she refuses to answer any of Eren's questions, as she has sided with Bertolt and Reiner in order to protect Krista, which appears to be a mutual desire that she shares with Reiner. Ymir pleads with Reiner to let her take Krista with them, as they escape after seeing the signal flares from the Survey Corps who are headed for their location. She knows that Krista has risked her life in order to accompany the scouts because she wants to rescue her. Ymir had only desired to see Krista again, worried that if she leaves with Reiner and Bertolt, she may never be able to see her again. Her emotions lead her to abandon her party and prioritize the safety of Krista as she transforms into a Titan form and captures Krista before returning to the armored Titan, clinging onto its back as they escape out of the forest. The scouts followed them, determined to get Eren back. They are led by Hannes, who is willing to give his life to save Eren, trying to make up for his inability to save his mother 5 years ago. Commander Erwin leads the military forces who are currently being tailed by Titans as they head towards the armored Titan. Since the armored Titan isn't as able to run as fast as horses, they are quickly able to catch up to it. Mikasa affirms that once she catches up to them, she will not hesitate to kill Reiner and Bertolt this time. Because of Ymir's decision to delay them and rescue Krista, the Survey Corps have now caught up to them. Mikasa, Jean, Connie, and Armin try to break Eren free from Bertolt, who is being protected by the armored Titan. They tell Bertolt about their various memories that they shared together during their training, and how they cannot believe that he was able to sleep beside his victims and to lie to their faces day in and day out. Mikasa, on the other hand, has no patience for recalling their memories, labeling them as enemies of humanity who deserve death. This causes Bertolt to feel anguish and sorrow, as he has an emotional outburst, which reveals how he has been feeling and sheds some light on his mindset too. After hearing their disbelief over his actions, he asks them if they truly think that anyone would want to kill people. His words reveal that they were put into a difficult position, and that they had not done this for fun. Nobody would want to do what they have had to do. Bertolt admits that they found it hard to come to terms with their sins. Their mental state was affected by their actions. They found it easier to play along with their friends and pretend to be soldiers. Everything they had said was not a lie, meaning that they did truly form friendships and bonds and wanted to grow old with their comrades. Despite having deceived them, the relationships they formed were not all lies. It is not straightforward, and for this reason, the situation makes you sympathize with Reiner, Bertolt, and Annie. While they struggle, Erwin is revealed to have lured a group of Titans towards the armored Titan by going around it and approaching it from the front. The Titans end up attacking the armored Titan, and during the chaos, Commander Erwin leads his soldiers towards the Titans in a final attempt to rescue Eren. During the charge, Erwin loses his arm, but heroically yells for his soldiers to continue. Armin reaches the armored Titan and thinks up a cruel strategy to invoke Bertolt's emotions. He asks them if they are really going to leave with Eren, knowing that they have left behind Annie. He lies to Bertolt, knowing that he has feelings for her, and tells him that she is being tortured as they speak, painting this image of Annie being hurt over and over again as she heals herself. They are trying not to kill her, but she cannot take much more of the pain that they are inflicting on her. Armin's plan works as Bertolt emerges from the protection of the armored Titan as he desires to kill every last one of them, but he is immediately cut by Erwin, who assists in rescuing Eren. As the soldiers now retreat after having rescued their target, they leave behind Reiner and Bertolt to deal with the swarm of Titans that are now surrounding them. In order to prevent their escape, the armored Titan hurls Titans towards the Survey Corps members. This results in Eren and Mikasa being dismounted, as they end up seeing the Titan that had killed Eren's mother 5 years ago, the Titan that fans have dubbed the Smiling Titan. Hannes arrives in time to fend off the Titan, trying to right his past wrongs. We are aware that he feels guilt for not being able to save their mother. Mikasa ends up untying Eren. However, the smiling Titan grabs Hannes and kills him, while Eren struggles to shift into his Titan form. During this moment, he ends up having a mental breakdown, realizing that he hasn't changed from that boy who helplessly watched his mother die 5 years ago. Mikasa consoles Eren while he is overcome with emotion. She reminds him that he had saved her and given her his scarf that she wraps around herself for comfort. She thanks him for being with her and teaching her how to live. Eren channels his emotions now and stands before the smiling Titan as a shield for Mikasa. It feels like Eren is willing to give his life to save Mikasa here. He isn't able to turn into his Titan form, but he is trying to fight against the towering smiling Titan with his comparatively small fists. After punching the Titan's palm, a power is awoken as several mindless Titans appear from behind him to devour the smiling Titan. This power that Eren has just exhibited is referred to as the co-ordinate, and this is what Reiner, Bertolt and Annie were ordered to capture. After the smiling Titan is killed, Eren sends the Titans towards Reiner. Ymir realizes that with this power on their side, Krista can now be kept safe within the walls. Reiner states that Eren is the worst person to end up possessing the powers of the coordinate. He is the last person in the world who should have it. While the Titans are busy attacking Reiner and Bertolt, the Survey Corps members take this opportunity to retreat. During this, Ymir ends up releasing Krista and heads back to assist Reiner and Bertolt. The three eventually make their escape, and we see them on top of Wall Maria at the Shiganshina district. She had returned to Reiner and Bertolt so that they wouldn't have to go back home empty-handed. This is because she had felt sympathy for them, and even some responsibility for having a new lease on life at the expense of their friend. Ymir ended up assisting them because if Reiner and the others did not come to destroy the walls, then she would have been trapped as a Titan, stuck in an endless nightmare. Her assisting them during the Clash of the Titans arc was a way of her repaying her debt to them. The aftermath of the 5th arc of Attack on Titan leads to Eren, Historia and the other soldiers safely returning to Wall Rose. 1 week later, Erwin is recovering from his wounds. Hanji and Connie arrive and report their findings regarding the Titans. They believe that the Titans that suddenly appeared within Wall Rose were actually the transformed residents of Ragako village, and the Titan that was found lying on top of Connie's home was in fact his transformed mother. Erwin, hearing this news, smiles and says that they are now one step closer to the truth. Season 2 of Attack on Titan concludes as the camera pans towards the top of Wall Maria. We are shown the Beast Titan and its operator, who appears to be a mysterious man wearing glasses. It appears that he is waiting on top of the wall for the Survey Corps to plan their return to the Shiganshina district. This is the end of the 5th arc of Attack on Titan, as it leads us now into the Uprising arc, which was a very controversial arc when it was released within the manga. Even Isayama wasn't pleased with how the Uprising arc had turned out in the manga, and it is for this reason that he had assisted the anime staff with making some changes to the Uprising arc, but I will talk more about this in the next video. So what did you think of the Clash of the Titans arc? Did this video help you to sympathize with the feelings of Reiner and Bertolt, or do you feel like everything that they went through in this arc was justified? I would love to read about your thoughts on this arc, so definitely leave a comment under this video telling me your thoughts on Attack on Titan Season 2, and hopefully I'll see all of you in my next video, which will cover the 6th arc of Attack on Titan, the Uprising arc. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, then please consider supporting my channel on Patreon. I have multiple tiers with rewards including access to an exclusive Discord server, video scripts, as well as being the first to know about unreleased upcoming videos. Thank you for your time, and whatever you choose to contribute I will appreciate, and it will mean a lot to me.